Welcome to the Eutaw Street Banter podcast.
Welcome, everybody, to the Eutaw Street Banter. Thank you for joining us on this episode here. Let's welcome Elijah back.
Hello.
What's up, man? So, Elijah, we've had I guess we could just jump right in, right? I mean,
yeah, go ahead. I think everyone knows about it by this point.
I think everybody knows about it. Everybody knows about how amazing Dylan Tate. I'm just messing. No, everybody knows about Corbin Burnes and how we just were able to, do a pretty good trade, I think, for him.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing that, obviously I'm going to miss DL Hall, right?
Stud.
Yeah. And then obviously Joey Ortiz. The biggest thing, though, is I think the better one of the two in the future, and I mean, I could be totally wrong, is probably Joey. From what I hear, I mean, sadly we didn't get to see him very much, but so we gave up a shortstop that he's not playing over Gunnar, he's not playing over Jackson, right? Holiday.
Yeah.
So you really gave up a shortstop that didn't have a place and a relief pitcher, right? For, I'd say, the second best pitcher in baseball.
Yeah, he's definitely up there. I mean,
he's not Garrett Cole. Garrett Cole is the best right now. I mean, as a Yankee hater, I'll still admit that, right?
But he's also not costing us $240 million like Blake Snell will.
Right. It's funny because last time we talked, we were hoping to get Jordan Montgomery, or
Domingo Germán.
Domingo Germán, right? Yeah, we were hoping to pay those guys because we couldn't afford Snell, and then we also were looking at the White Sox and the Mariners, and the Marlins, and I don't think we brought. I know actually I did bring up Corbin Burnes, and I said that we couldn't get him because they're trying to win it this year.
Yeah,
and then I guess Elias heard me.
Yeah.
And he's like, we're going to prove that podcast wrong. So, that being said, I don't think there's any way we get Mike Trout. There's no way we get him.
No.
So, all right, tomorrow we're going to do a special podcast because the Orioles just traded for Mike Trout. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, no, anyway, so really, really, really surprised by this move. I mean, I really don't know what to say other than, we were looking at our past, superstar aces that the Orioles have had, and the last one was a future Yankee, and that was Mike Messina. And then before that, the other guy has been announcing Orioles games for like 30, 40 years, and Jim Palmer. So Elias, what a move, man! Like, you crushed it.
I mean, especially for like what you said, we didn't give up. Obviously, Hall, I loved him. He's a great guy. He seemed to really find himself in the bullpen. But, that I said, he's in the bullpen, which is, compared to our rotation, a strength of ours. And then, I don't think Ortiz really, I said this last time, I don't see him ever having a starting spot on the team.
Right.
I thought if we were going to trade anybody, he's the first one to go, which apparently I was right. No one talking about it, I guess.
Yeah, you were right. I mean, the biggest thing is I was listening to MLB Network Radio, and Steve Phillips, who was a general manager, I don't know, I'd say before Christmas and everything, they were talking about Corbin Burnes trade for the Orioles, and he was saying it would take five blue chip prospects, right? It took 2. And then so some Orioles fans I saw were stressing a little bit about the draft pick. So just to give everybody a heads up on that, it's a compensation draft pick. So basically we gave that up. That's going to be after the first round. Okay. And that'll be their draft pick. Now, if the Orioles do not sign Corbin Burnes back, we will then get a separate compensation draft pick. So basically, most likely what we've given up is 2 players. So don't stress about the draft pick because if we don't sign Corbin Burnes back, we will get the draft pick. We'll get another compensation draft pick.
Because I think the way I seen this work out is I really doubt we sign him back before his contract's up, especially saying his agent, Scott Boras, and if anybody's familiar with Scott Boras, he doesn't deal in extensions. He's the same guy trying to get Blake Snell $200 million. And the best bet I think is what's going to happen is we'll sign him in the offseason after he tests out free agency. Because I personally think he's going to come to Baltimore and just love the team, love the players, love the culture, and want to
Yeah.
come back.
Yeah, and I think the opposite. I think that we don't. I think this is a Nelson Cruz type of thing. I think he absolutely crushes it, and he does good, and he goes and takes his talent somewhere else for a crazy amount of money. So I hope you're right, and I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But here's another thing. Okay, so here's something I've been thinking about that definitely could be happening. So let's say he does really good. Okay. And then let's say Grayson Rodriguez does really good. Let's say Kyle Bradish has a good year. How many aces do you need? You know what I mean?
Five.
I
Five
know.
preferably.
Five preferably. right. But how many aces can you pay for? Right. So say Kyle Bradish does what I think he's not going to do, is be as good as he was last year. Not better, just as good. Okay. And I hope he is, right? I'm just trying to be realistic here. And Grayson Rodriguez is better than he was last year, which I think will happen. Okay. That gives us 2 top of the line starters, right? And then you're not freaking out like we were this year.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Now, like I said, I hope you're right. I hope our big pockets, that the Orioles all of a sudden have come into. I hope that we can spend it, but we also just have to be realistic. I mean, but yeah, so that's how I feel. I know you have quite a bit on Corbin Burnes that I'm really excited to hear about. So I'm going to let you kind of run away with this.
So basically, looking into it, obviously we all know he's a great pitcher, but I didn't realize just how great he's been. I mean, in any season that he has pitched more than 60 innings, so that's from the 2020 COVID season through this year, including his Cy Young season, he has been no less than 8th in Cy Young votes. So that just shows, I mean, he's getting those Cy votes every single year.
Yeah.
Which means he has a career 3.26 ERA, which is already amazing. And this is really what I love about it. He has a 2.84 ERA in the playoffs in 19 innings. Wow. And that's what we need. Because, I mean, this is a fun little fact that bring up put a little salt in the wound here. That he's given up 1 more run than Grayson Rodriguez has in the playoffs. And Grayson Rodriguez has thrown 1 2/3 innings compared to the 19 that Burnes has thrown.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And like, it's funny. I was listening to Corbin Burnes' interview, his media interview, and all he's talking about is he's like, "Yep, I'm just here to get us to the World Series. I'm just, everything kind of ended with, World Series. How far can it?" And I'm like, boy, I am not used to this. I am not used to, it was just so encouraging to hear that he knows what he's here for.
Yeah.
And I hope he brings that into the locker room and kind of just, emphasizes that. You know what I mean? And and he's been there. And the Orioles have gotten a taste of it too. And I think Corbin Burnes is hungry to win in the playoffs because he's, his teams have failed to do that. And so, I mean, I'm really excited about that. And I'm really excited about, what he had to say.
Yeah, that interview was really great. Like you said, he's going to come here and win. I just cannot wait to see what he does with our other starters. I think he's going to be a great influence on them. We already have, I think Grayson's a real great guy, like gritty guy, going to get into it on the mound. I think Burnes is another one that's just going to amplify that even more. And just, I can't see this going wrong. Even if he regresses from what he's done and puts up, say he puts up an ERA of 4, which would be by far his career highest. That's still going to be better than what we had last year in Kyle Gibson. And the influence he has on the rotation, I think, is going to be it's going to be great to see it.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's pretty encouraging. I mean, his 2024 projections on Fangraph is his ERA projections is 3.52. And I mean, obviously, this doesn't surprise anybody. That's better than anybody else on our roster. So I mean, it's one of those things where you listen to like different callers and everything, and everybody's like, well, he still has to pitch and all. But no matter if he comes out and just doesn't do anything that we expect, you can't blame anybody other than luck. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
our front office, Elias has really put it all in.
Yeah.
I don't know, I don't know what better he could have done.
Yeah. It's not like this is a Jack Flaherty situation where you're just hoping.
Yeah, there's definitely no hope here. There's hope that he stays healthy. If he stays healthy, we're good.
Yeah. That was hope. This is expectation.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
But and just some other great things to see is we lost someone in Kyle Gibson. He threw the most innings on the team last year. And Burnes was 10th in the league in innings pitched and 16th in the league in strikeouts. He's a great strikeout guy. His cutter's amazing, and he is a workhorse. He's going to go out every fifth day and throw 5 to 7 innings every time he goes out there.
Right. Now, here's a really big question for you about Corbin Burnes. Does he bring the mullet back?
I don't know. I think you got especially going to a place like Baltimore. I think you got to change everything. Change the whole hair.
Yeah, I think
you can go like mohawk maybe.
Rat tail.
Rat tail, yeah.
Rat tail.
Yeah. There you go. Shave a crab into the side of his head. Really go full Baltimore.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
But awesome. No, he's got some really great numbers, and I love the comparison between him and Bradish because Bradish has modeled his game after Burnes, and the one thing that you really see looking in the percentage of pitches by season, it's obviously Burnes is doing more, but from the years that when he transitioned to a starter and really turned around in 2020, he went from throwing over 50% fastballs to throwing under 5% fastballs.
Oh, wow.
And he has thrown barely 1% of it fastball because of this cutter. He has come out of nowhere with this cutter in 2020 and just took over the league by storm with it. And that's the same thing you see with Bradish. With Bradish cut his four-seam usage down from 45% in 2022 down to 20% in 2023.
Man.
And I think you see that Bradish also changed sides of the rubber from where he starts his movement at. And that's something he emulated from Burnes. So I think it's going to be cool to see someone that if you pick a pitcher and try to model your game after that, but then you get to come and work with this pitcher, it can only make it better.
Right. And what's great. Good.
I think this move not only makes the Orioles better, I think it makes Bradish better for next year.
Yeah. Yeah. I think what's crazy too is, you're absolutely right when comparing them. But like Kyle Bradish, for instance, actually, Corbin Burnes has been in the league for 5 years, right? Mm-hmm. What's crazy to me is Kyle Bradish has been in the year 1.1. You know what I mean? Yeah. 1.2. So years. And so what's crazy about that is, at this point next year, Grayson Rodriguez, if he pitches a whole season, will replace that. You know what I mean? Like in my mind, I feel like Kyle Bradish has been there so much longer than he has.
Yeah.
And he's had one full MLB season, and he's coming. What was it, 4th in Cy Young? So, and then you're putting him underneath of somebody that's won that award.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you're really setting the Orioles, pitching, the future of their pitching up, as a, for a positive outcome.
Yeah. It just, I'm so happy with this.
I mean, there's really nothing that
exactly. Absolutely. But I'm really interested by his cutter because obviously I believed even before he came over, it was probably a top 5 pitch in baseball. It's easily the best cutter in baseball, but he uses it the 3rd most out of anybody. And I lost the 2 pitchers down in front of him. I know Kenley Jansen throws it more than him, and it's another reliever, but he throws it 55% of the time.
Wow.
Which is a lot for a starter to use one pitch that much, but that's because his cutter has an 18 run value to it, which is basically the amount, it's a number that gives value to a certain pitch, and that's the 11th highest run value on any pitch. I mean, this is you thinking of great pitchers. How about Kershaw's slider? He's got the same run value on Kershaw's slider with his cutter.
Oh, wow.
And, the people that are ahead of him are even better. I mean, you got Garrett Cole's up here for his fastball. He's got the highest run value, but his cutter is just insane. And
That's
then
awesome.
one other thing that I really like about it is he's starting to change. I don't know how big you're into the sweepers,
Yeah, yeah.
changing
Yeah.
the slider curveball into a sweeper, but midway through last year, he changed his slider into a sweeper, even though he refuses to call it a sweeper, and his usage has been he's used it more because the horizontal break has gone from about 8 to 18, which
So it's pretty long.
yeah,
Yeah, so it's really creating a pretty big umbrella,
yeah,
if to kind of give you people an idea of what that looks like. Yeah, and it's always running away from a righty. So
yeah,
especially you look at some of our power hitters in the AL East. We'll just talk about Aaron Judge. You're going to try to set him up. And get him out on his front foot. If you get Aaron Judge out on his front foot, and the sweeper just keeps carrying into the left-handed batter's box, not much you're going to do with that. You know what I mean? And then you still got to respect his fastball. I mean,
yeah,
so it's one of those things where he's either going to hit you with a sweeper outside that you're going to hopefully have to keep your weight back on, or he's going to hit you with an upper 90s fastball high inside that
yeah,
you're going to try to not break your bat on. Oh, and then there's a ball that just drops straight into the dirt, and that's his curveball. You know what I mean? So he has a ball. One thing we always try to teach young ball players is trying to have a pitch that goes every which way. You want a pitch that goes out, you want a pitch that goes in, you want a pitch that goes down, and he can command all of those.
yeah. I mean, it's just there's nothing to hate about him. He's
Yeah,
just he's a true ace. And
yeah.
that's like we already thought we had at least one, if not two aces. I mean, I worse.
So you don't like this move, I hear.
No, I hate it. I hate it
Yeah,
so much. I
yeah. I
just
mean, yeah. Domingo Herman would have been a much
oh
better
yeah,
person.
no.
Yeah, and no, I'm just kidding. Yeah,
But
no. I mean, what a great day. What a great week last week was.
yeah. And this is why I think this is the most interesting thing is I looked around the league at all the other teams, and it was very difficult to find a team that had a better not just rotation, but specifically a top three of rotation. I think we have probably obviously someone's gonna argue me on it, but I think now we have the best duo and with Corbin Burnes, and you could pick your choice of Bradish or Grayson. And then I think we also probably have the best trio in baseball. The only team that I think could be comparable maybe is if you look at the Dodgers with you
Right.
have Glasnow, Yamamoto, and Walker Buehler. But obviously Yamamoto's still never thrown in MLB baseball before.
Right.
He
Yeah.
like
Yeah. And he's never pitched to MLB
yeah.
baseball player. And if people want to try to argue with me and the World Baseball Classic, you don't even come here with that. You know what I mean? Like for one, the MLB players he was pitching against,
Yeah.
they're
Cedric Mullins was
playing
starter.
they're playing in February and March. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, let's see how you're doing in August. And
Yeah.
pitch at our pitch in our ballparks. So,
Yeah.
but that's just my little rant. Sorry.
But I mean, you look at like the Yankees, they have a great rotation. The top three of theirs, you got obviously Garrett Cole's amazing, but then I mean Carlos Rodon and Nestor Cortez. I
Right.
don't think either of those can compare to Grayson or Bradish. I just
No.
I I don't see now that the reason I like this isn't even for the regular season because it's hard to improve on a 101 win season. So I think we'll probably win less games, but that doesn't matter because I would hate to have to play us in the playoffs and go against Burnes, Bradish, and Grayson.
Yeah,
One, two, three.
it really makes you feel more comfortable if we had to play a wild card.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
I mean,
that always would make me
yeah,
worry last year. I was so stressed out about trying to make sure we win the division because of our pitching, because of our starters.
yeah.
Now if we need to win a game, I feel pretty comfortable.
I mean, if the three people between the three of them, they just stay stagnant, don't even get better. You can throw any of them are okay to go game one.
Right.
Any of them. It doesn't matter how you end the season. If Burnes pitches the last game of the season and can't throw first game wild card, put Bradish out there. He'll do just as good.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
there's no going wrong now with what we have. Obviously, I I mean, even though I'm not gonna sit around and pretend John Means and D. Kramer are the best in the world, D. Kramer's probably one of the best five pitchers in the league. just because I mean he's a good pitcher. He's slightly above average. That gives us an edge. That makes it now. If we go to the postseason, he's a reliever now. He can be that long guy, and all it takes is for John Means to bounce back from injury, and we could have the most solid rotation in baseball.
Yeah, yeah,
Complementary to an amazing bullpen.
I agree. I agree. Yeah.
But speaking of bullpen though, do you think since we did trade away Hall, who I predicted to be one of our star bullpen pitchers, do you think we need another reliever?
I do. I think the biggest thing I see in our bullpen is we have you'll like this because you're a lefty pitcher. We have a lot of righties.
Yeah.
And like I just get nervous because I just keep looking at the Yankees lineup, and I know weren't too hot last year, but I mean they added Soto, a lefty,
Yeah.
and I just really wish that we could get a lefty to just really do something. And I have an idea of somebody I want. This is an off the wall. This is like a new one. And so I'm going to try to just tell you the stats. I'm not going to make you guess because we don't have all day. But so this guy in 2019 had 34 saves. 2020 had 16 saves, but remember that was a shortened season. 2021 had 21 saves. Okay. Then in 2022 he went to a team where he wasn't the closer, so he had 5. Okay. He pitched 45 innings, had a 2.8 ERA. Killing it, right?
Yeah.
All right. Last year, not hot. Last year, rough. 53 innings, 5.5 ERA. Okay. All right. So hear me out though. Okay. He's had one bad year his entire career. Okay. And he's a lefty pitcher, and he's a veteran. He's had 10 years in the league, and that's Brad Hand.
Brad Hand.
So I mean, can you imagine? I don't know. I'm not smart enough to tell you how much people are looking to get. But it's one of those things where I look at that and I'm like, boy, that's a lot of experience right there. Get him on a 1 year, get him a 1 year, 8,
Probably
1
not
year
even.
10. Yeah, I mean, yeah. So yeah, I mean, man, just one bad season really just shuts you down.
Yeah.
Like that's what's crazy. And maybe they saw, I didn't watch a ton of Brad Hand last year. I just see stats. I see the ticker on the bottom of the screen, but it's just. So maybe they would see something that, watching his games that I didn't see.
Yeah.
But I know Brad Hand, the past Brad Hand, how good he was. And I just look at him, I'm like, boy, that would be a heck of an add to our bullpen. And just to have that lefty in there.
Yeah.
And if you could sign him cheap enough that, that you don't have to, stress too much about paying him. You know what I mean? So, that's just kind of what I thought about that. What do you think? Do you think there should be, do you think we should add a relief pitcher?
I definitely think we do, but I mean, I think because of the Burnes signing now, that's pushes Wells through the bullpen. I think that makes it obviously Hall, I would say, is better than Wells, but I think Wells, I mean, he has potential to come in and be a setup guy. He showed flashes at the end of the year that he could come in and be a closer. Obviously, we have Kimbrel to be a closer, but if something happens with Kimbrel and he starts not doing good, which is always a problem with him, that I think that gives you another option. But obviously, we lost the lefty, so now this leaves us with really only this only gives you CNL Perez and Danny Coulomb.
Right.
And I just think if we don't get another one, they have to show something. They can't decline at all. And it's going to be, I really doubt we make another move. And it's just going to be interesting to see in spring training what they do. And obviously, in a few seconds, we'll talk about Dylan Tate here. And it looks like he'll probably be on the starting day roster now.
I think Dylan Tate has to be there now. I do.
Yeah.
I think, it'll be one of those things where he's going to have to show in spring training he's ready to go.
Yeah.
Right. And I think he will. I don't think he'll be bad enough for the Orioles to give up on him. And I think he'll have the first, month and a half to show. Right. and kind of go from there. The one nice thing about it is you're not asking him. We used to ask him to do the 8th and 9th inning.
Yeah.
I don't think we have to have
No.
that now.
We need a 6th
So
and 7th inning.
yeah. So but I also, he's the one though, man. I look at Dylan Tate and like, if you listened to us last time, you're probably so tired of us hearing talk about Dylan Tate, but he's the one where I'm like, man, that might be the guy. That might be
Yeah.
the guy everybody's forgetting, or that might be the guy we need. I hope I'm right on that, because there's been plenty of times where I've been wrong on that.
Yeah.
So like I was wrong on Fuji. I thought he was, the Mets signed him, so hopefully he does well. But it's one of those things where you just hope surgery didn't mess him up too much.
Yeah. I think I trust Brandon Hyde here, and he comes out with a quote, says that he looks unbelievable, feels great, and that he's really happy and hoping he can come back this year and help us. And I think that is a good sign that if he wasn't doing good in his off-season training, if he wasn't healthy, I don't think Brandon Hyde comes out and says that, because then that just makes it even more of a rush job to get him back ready. So
Right.
I think at this point he probably is completely healthy and throwing normal. And I just think it's a question of once he gets back into competition in spring, what happens.
Yeah, I agree. The one nice thing about it is I know I'm putting a lot of hope into him, but say it doesn't work out, he doesn't, then it's not like, we didn't have a lot into it. You know what I mean? So
that wasn't make or break.
it's not, it's not the end of the world. And then I'll tell you another guy that I would like to see that you probably hate, but I mean, I still would love to see them, if they were to do another pitching splash, which I doubt it, I'd put money on it that they don't. But man, you look at Trevor Bauer sitting out there and the opportunity that, you know what I mean? And it's just, but we talk about how the Orioles clubhouse, how awesome that atmosphere is.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know if he's a nuisance. I mean, if you want to argue the whole, everything that happened, a lot of accusations that apparently, I don't know everything about it, so I'm not going to get into it, but I would love to see that.
Yeah, I think he's kind of in the close to the same boat as Domingo Germán for me.
Oh, come on, man.
Not there though, because Domingo Germán I would much rather have Bauer than Domingo Germán. Obviously, Bauer's more talented too, but I think Bauer, his difference is, I don't think anybody can really tell if he's the type of teammate that, yeah, he's polarizing, but in a good way when he's on your team. And I just don't think it's worth it. It's not worth it to risk it, in my opinion, because yet again, we have this young core that they're out there, they're happy, they're spitting water on the field for a double. You got the Mr. Splash out in center field, and if you got Trevor Bauer out here throwing baseballs in center field, hitting him in the back of the head, I feel like it's not good.
I just feel like, I feel like he's weird enough. He's weird enough for the Orioles.
He could be weird enough, but
we're spraying people with water.
Yeah.
I think he's weird enough.
I don't think, and I just think it's also, we're right now, like, I'd almost want to say we're like America's team, basically. No one hates, no, like, okay, name one person that's not like a Yankees fan that truly hates us. No one, everyone's rooting for us.
There's only one reason why people don't hate us. It's the same reason that people didn't hate the Cubs. The same people that didn't hate the Red Sox.
Because we've been bad for so long.
It's because we were bad. Yeah. People were like, when you see a kid get bullied, you got to step up and cheer for him.
Yeah.
And but you're right. I mean, we do have a lot of fun guys to watch. We do have a lot of just guys that are fun to listen to. Very really good for young kids to listen to. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because this is what I picture in my head. Adley Rutschman going out to give a hug to his pitcher after he comes off the mound every inning, and Trevor Bauer gave up 2 home runs and blows him off and gets mad at him. And that's all it takes, just to light the fuse.
Right, I agree.
Because I think
real quick.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say real quick before we head off for the night. I want to talk about. So we've been talking about a lot of good stuff. I got something I'm really, 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 really nervous about to happen today, or I guess it happened yesterday, and that is the Bobby Witt Jr. just got signed to a long-term deal. with the Kansas City Royals.
Yeah.
He got signed to a 14-year, $388 million. There is opt-out clauses after year 7, which will absolutely happen unless everything goes wrong because the players opt out. So the player will always bet on himself. Okay. Here's what I'm really, really nervous about on this is Bobby Witt Jr. is the same age and everything. I think same draft class, I believe, as Adley and Gunnar.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this is pretty much giving us an idea of what the cost is.
Yeah.
Correct?
So, yeah. I think the one difference, if you did, I don't know how deeply you looked into that deal, but he did, there's a lot of opt-outs and stuff. So
Right.
that's only if he fully opts into everything.
Absolutely. I do.
I
do
just,
see that.
I think it's also a thing with us with, yet again, you got to sign him early.
Yeah. But I mean, that's as early as you can sign him, man.
It's
So
also, look at the Royals. Who else do they have to root for?
I know, but so as an Orioles fan, we always want Gunnar signed. We always want Adley signed. We want Jackson signed. We want Grayson signed. Not a chance. It's unrealistic for that to happen. Now, the good thing is, the one thing as an Orioles fan we need to start remembering, okay, is I don't mean to get everybody fired up at the end of our podcast, but the one good thing is if you see our draft class every year right now, even late, even Bradfield, right? So we don't have to. Our front office is showing us that we don't have to have our top 10 draft to have a good draft class, right? So don't stress so much about getting all of them. Let's get a couple, okay?
Yeah. If we get
but it's
two,
it's unrealistic to get all of them.
Yeah, that's why I think. Obviously, I know Angelos is gonna do, which is gonna suck, but once we really need to see what Rubenstein will do when they take over, when his group takes over, because if they are willing to extend these players, I don't think you can wait. I don't think you can, because if you wait, the price is only going to go up for Adley. It's only going to go. The Gunner's price over the past 9 months, it increased at least $100 million.
Yeah, you think Bobby Witt's is expensive? How about the kid that just won Rookie of the Year?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's expensive.
Yeah.
I think currently, if I had to give you estimates on who's the highest, right? I think Gunner's the highest. I think Jackson's the second highest, and I think Adley's third.
You put Jackson already ahead of.
I think so. I know. Trust me. I've been thinking about this all day, right? But I think the athlete side of it, the athletic side of it is put.
Yeah.
But I say that, and Adley's one of my favorite players, right? So this isn't a knock. This isn't, by being a great baseball player in my mind and being one of my favorite dudes, that's not. I don't look at dollar signs, right? And that's what they're going to look at. Which, I mean, it's their livelihood, right? They're going to set up their families for the rest of their lives, so they're allowed to, right? So I think we're going to pick between Samuel Basello, or however you say his last name, and then Adley. You're going to pick between one of them, and I think you're going to pick between Gunnar or Jackson. Yeah, I think you pick between one of them.
I think that's, I agree, and then it's going to be hard, and I think yet again that's why if you're going to do that, it's sad to say it, but you're going to have to trade the other ones that you're not keeping.
Right, but guess what? We got 6 years.
That luckily, that's a problem for a few years from now.
Right. So you know what I mean. It's sort of like that's 6 years ago. 6 years later, a problem.
As long as it doesn't turn into 2018, or we just sell everyone and don't keep anything.
Yeah, and got nothing for it. Yeah, and got nothing. Like if we can, I was pretty impressed with the Brewers trade with Burnes. Like Corbin Burnes.
I think that was a win for both teams.
I agree. I looked at the trade rater, and they're right. I mean, it's even, right? So, I mean, as a Brewers fan, you guys just got a really good shortstop, and you got a really good relief pitcher that I think can be very good. Okay, be a good pitcher. I think. I mean, I think he can be a number 2. I do.
Yeah.
I like if everything goes right, either that or my man's going to turn into Josh Hader. He's going to be your next Josh Hader. And then as an Orioles fan, we've given him up again. You know what I mean? We gave up Josh Hader last time. Do you remember who we gave up Josh Hader last time for?
No.
Bud Norris.
Yeah, good old Bud.
Bud Norris. Oh, and that was tragic. But you think that's bad? Do you know who they gave up Josh Hader for? The Astros traded Josh Hader right after that and got Cargo. Oh, no. I mean, Carlos Gonzalez.
Carlos Gomez.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Carlos Gomez. the head case guy.
Yeah.
Right. So they wish they got Cargo. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Brewers, man, they killed it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I definitely think that was a fair trade. I definitely think they got what they needed. I also think I am really excited because, boy, you look at our AAA and you're like, we're still hot. You know what I mean? We still, but yeah, I couldn't believe we didn't give up a lot more than that.
Yeah, because I got 2 more things to say, and then we can wrap it up.
Man.
Is that the one thing I am excited for this year, especially, is we have our 3 top pitching prospects: Chase McDermott, Kate Povich, and Seth Johnson. Seth Johnson's getting healthy again, and I think the 3 of them, if they all make leaps, I think then you don't have to worry about it. I think that's really what depends if we re-sign Burnes. If we see one of them have really good potential, we're not going to sign them because we're going to want them to come in.
Right. And I also think we do a 6-man rotation at some point this year.
I definitely put Tyler Wells in or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Because to just give Grayson and Kyle a little bit of a break. I could see that. Plus, you're seeing that throughout Major League Baseball. It's hard to make a run now without having a 6-man rotation to keep everybody as healthy as possible. Yeah. And just kind of going through that. But yeah, so next time we got a pretty fun podcast coming up for next week. Really excited for that show. We're gonna go over our favorites, or what we think is the Orioles elite, the all-time Orioles elite roster or elite lineup. Right? We don't got time for 25 people. Right? I'm really excited about that. That's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure you definitely watch it or listen to that show. And be sure to follow us and give us a 5-star review. If you're going to leave a 1-star review, we ask that you just move on. Go listen to your Yankees podcast. Yeah. And or I guess you're probably a Dodgers fan now because, you're just going to move on to wherever you want to go. But yeah, definitely leave us a review, a 5-star review if you would. It really helps us as we try to grow this podcast. And we cannot thank everybody enough for who listened last week. I mean, the overall reviews were astounding. I could not believe the love that we got. And remember, we are also on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter as you can kind of keep up with everything that we talk about.
More instant updates.
Yeah, instant updates, and then we got some pretty cool things that we put on there, like that we're going to talk about in the future, and hopefully we'll try to put some polls and try to get some questions to come through there too. So awesome, guys. Well, I thank everybody for listening to tonight's podcast or today's podcast, however you listen to this, whatever time you listen to this, and we will see you next week. See you guys.
See ya.